heavy metal band, they're a musical band. Their songs aren't just heavy metal, they're beautiful songs. And this is such a melodic song.
You don't build a $650 million legacy without big talent and even bigger opinions. Sir Elton John didn't just write songs, he wrote history with his voice, his piano, and his opinions.
The two songs that I played off that album that I played in concert, people listen to them, that I want this to be a rock record, more featuring the guitar than the piano.
These 6 bands were obsessions, praised so loudly it shocked fans, confused critics, and made some of his rivals roll their eyes and mutter, "Wait, seriously?" 1. Leon Russell.
One of the greatest influences was Leon Russell.
The gospel, the country, the soul, the blues, and he had it all.
Sometimes amazing artists who once played to huge crowds and made unforgettable songs slowly fade away. People forget their names, their records stop selling, big stages turn into small half-empty rooms. That's exactly what happened to Leon Russell. He was once one of the most exciting and talented musicians in the world.
When you first heard Leon Russell,
He looked like this incredible alien with these long gray hair and this top hat.
He wore wild outfits, played the piano like a storm, and mixed together rock, blues, country, and gospel in a way nobody else could. He worked with legends like George Harrison and Eric Clapton. He helped create something called the Tulsa Sound. But by the 2000s, most people didn't talk about him anymore. He wasn't on the radio. He wasn't headlining big shows. He was almost forgotten, but one man never forgot him: Sir Elton John. Elton John didn't just admire Leon Russell, he worshipped him. When Elton was still young and learning how to become a star, he looked up to Leon like a hero.
When I heard Leon, he was the pinnacle for me of what I wanted to be as a piano player.
He watched Leon play live and said it changed his life. He studied Leon's early albums and saw them as lessons in how to write music that really means something. So when Elton saw that Leon was struggling and being ignored by the music world, he didn't just feel sad, he felt angry, really angry.
You know, he started out playing the songs in my band, so he started playing songs he hadn't recorded, and they played all those. So he hired us on the spot.
Instead of staying silent, Elton took action. In 2010, he decided to work with Leon on a brand new album called The Union. But this wasn't just a fun project between two old musicians. This was a mission. Elton used his own money. He gave up his time. He used his fame to get people to pay attention. He wanted the world to remember just how powerful Leon Russell's music was. Elton didn't want quiet praise. He wanted a full comeback. He wanted Leon to shine again, and he was ready to fight for it. Some people thought Elton was just doing it for attention. They said it was a vanity project, but they were wrong. Elton wasn't doing it to make himself look good. He was doing it because he believed in Leon more than anyone else did. He believed the music industry had made a huge mistake by turning its back on someone so talented, and he wanted to fix that mistake. Elton didn't just talk about how great Leon was. He showed it. He shared the stage with him. He let Leon take the spotlight. He even shared songwriting credit with him. That's something most big stars never do.
This is Leon Russell. And I froze for a nanosecond, and this is how to play the piano.
Elton's love for Leon was real, and it was loud. He spoke with so much emotion about how Leon had inspired him. He called him one of the greatest musicians, singers, and writers of all time, and he meant every word. Thanks to Elton's help, Leon got one last moment in the sun. The Union got great reviews. It earned a Grammy nomination. People started talking about Leon again. There was even a documentary on HBO about their story. It was like a final, shining chapter for a man who deserved so much more. But this wasn't just about music. It was about loyalty. It was about standing up for someone who had been forgotten. Elton used his fame and power to make sure the world remembered Leon Russell before it was too late. It was more than just love. It was a rescue mission, a bold and emotional fight against a music industry that had lost its heart. And because of Elton, Leon Russell didn't end his career in silence. He ended it with applause.
Song you wish you'd recorded?
Song for you, Leon Russell. I've been so many places in my life and time. Saying a lot of things, I've had some bad rhymes. Acting out my life in stages with 10,000 people watching, and I'm alone and I'm singing this song for you.
If Elton could help Leon, just wait to see how he lifts his boyhood hero next. 2. John Lennon.
Losing John Lennon, especially for you. But if this thing goes to #1, which I believe it will.
When you think of music legends, the Beatles are usually the first name that comes to mind. Their songs, their voices, their messages. They changed music forever. And for Elton John, they weren't just famous stars. They were everything. He didn't just like them. He loved them with all his heart, especially John Lennon.
Star introducing, I've forgotten who it was, introducing a Lennon-McCartney show, told me how Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was about LSD.
Elton's love for the Beatles started when he was still a young boy. Their music wasn't just fun to listen to, it helped him understand who he wanted to be. The Beatles were bold. They weren't afraid to try new things. And John Lennon, with his sharp words and deep feelings, became Elton's biggest hero. He saw Lennon as more than just a singer. He saw him as a truth teller, someone who used music to show his real self, even when it hurt. And then, something amazing happened. They became friends. In 1974, Elton and John Lennon worked together on a song called Whatever Gets You Through the Night. It was a hit, but more than that, it brought them closer.
My friendship with John, he was the one I looked up to the most. There's nothing one can say about his music. His music speaks for itself.
They made a bet. If the song reached #1, Lennon would join Elton on stage. It did. And so, on Thanksgiving night at Madison Square Garden, Lennon kept his promise. He walked out in front of thousands of fans and sang with Elton. It was his last big public performance. That night became one of the most legendary moments in music history. Elton was more than just a fan. He was family. He became godfather to Lennon's son, Sean. And when Lennon was murdered in 1980, Elton was crushed. The world had lost a voice of truth, and Elton had lost a dear friend. But Elton didn't stop talking about him. He kept Lennon's memory alive through his words and his music.
But when he told me that John was dead, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was in shock. In fact, I didn't show any emotion whatsoever. Everybody else had a great effect on him immediately.
He told the world that Lennon's songs like Help, Imagine, and Jealous Guy were masterpieces. He reminded everyone that Lennon wasn't afraid to be honest, to take risks, and to make people think. To Elton, this was real music, raw, bold, and from the heart. And this is where the controversy comes in. Because Elton loved Lennon and the Beatles so deeply, he also judged everyone else by their standard. He wasn't afraid to say it out loud. He looked at new pop stars, especially ones from reality shows or with songs written by big teams of producers, and said, "This isn't real music." He compared them to Lennon and found them lacking. Some people thought he was being too harsh, but Elton didn't care. To him, there was a clear line between honest music and fake music, and Lennon was the gold standard. This deep love for Lennon and the Beatles became part of Elton's identity. He talked about them in interviews. He defended their legacy. He made it clear that, to him, their work wasn't just music. It was sacred. He treated it like a guidebook, a way to judge the true quality of a song or a performer. He even used this love as a kind of weapon. When he saw music that felt shallow or meaningless, he called it out. He didn't do it to be mean. He did it because he cared so much about what music could be. He believed Lennon would have hated the fake, plastic side of the modern music world, and so did he. Elton John's love for John Lennon wasn't just about friendship. It wasn't just about being a fan of the Beatles. It was about something deeper. Lennon's music had shaped his heart and soul. It had given him courage, inspiration, and a sense of what really matters. And Elton never let go of that. Even now, all these years later, you can hear it in his voice when he talks about Lennon. You can feel it in his performances. And you can see it in the way he still fights for real, honest music. For Elton, Lennon wasn't just a friend or an influence. He was a flame that still burns, and always will.
Of Lennon's 5-year-old son, Seth, and he was visibly shaken.
Only moments before he emerged from the flame to face waiting newsmen.
But that giant stage hug was only step one. The next idol taught Elton to pound the piano hard. 3. Little Richard. Before Elton John became the piano-pounding superstar in sparkly glasses and bright costumes, there was someone else doing it first, and louder. His name was Little Richard. He called himself the architect of rock and roll, and he truly was. With his crazy hair, makeup, high-pitched shouts, and pounding piano style, Little Richard was like a musical tornado. He didn't just perform, he took over every stage like a storm. He made people stare. He made them dance. And most of all, he made them feel something powerful.
And when they got down there, he got tutti frutti, although he had to clean it up, but he got it. Well, I used to be an opera singer. I used to sing opera.
No, I didn't
know that.
I'm sorry.
For a young, shy boy named Reginald Dwight, who later became Elton John, seeing Little Richard was like getting permission to be himself. It was a signal that being different wasn't just okay. It could be amazing. Elton didn't just like Little Richard, he loved him. He studied his moves. He learned his piano style. Loud, fast, full of soul and joy. He copied his stage presence too, jumping around, wearing wild outfits, and making each performance feel like a party. Elton has said many times that Little Richard changed his life. When he saw how Richard could break the rules, be bold, and still be a great musician, Elton knew he could do the same. He realized he didn't have to hide who he was. He could be colorful, emotional, and larger than life, and still be taken seriously as a musician.
Rings over Sydney Harbour Bridge.
I did,
Is that
and
true?
I would like to find that fish that got them.
In 1986, Elton got the chance to do something very special. He helped induct Little Richard into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Elton stood on stage and gave a speech with tears in his eyes, calling Richard one of his biggest inspirations ever. It wasn't just a speech, it was a thank you, a way to show the world how much Richard meant to him. Now, why would this love be considered controversial? Not because Little Richard wasn't famous, he was a legend. The real reason is because Elton took everything Little Richard stood for and pushed it even further. While rock music at the time often focused on being tough, serious, and straight-faced, Elton brought color, glitter, and emotion.
And the best new artist is me. And y'all ain't never gave me no Grammy.
He wore platform boots, giant feathered hats, and shiny glasses. Some people in the rock world didn't like it. They thought he was too silly, too theatrical, or not real enough. But Elton didn't care. He knew that being bold and expressive was just as important as writing good music, and he proved it every time he stepped on stage.
And I want to tell you something, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen of all races, that don't take this thing lightly.
Elton's love for Little Richard was more than admiration. It was a celebration of being different. It was a way of saying, "This is who I am, and I'm proud of it." By praising Little Richard so openly and living in his spirit, Elton showed support for artists who didn't fit the typical mold. He stood up for the weird, the wild, and the wonderfully bold. He didn't just play dress up. He was carrying a message that still inspires young performers today. Little Richard made Elton loud, yet the next singer proves quiet songs can still win. 4. Kate Bush.
I got her work and was really moved. And more than anything, I was moved by her as a producer.
Kate Bush isn't your usual pop star. She doesn't release music often. She doesn't go on long tours. She doesn't chase trends. But when she does make music, it feels like magic. Her songs are full of strange stories, dreamy sounds, and powerful emotions. Some people don't get her. They say she's too weird, too quiet, or too hard to understand.
Feelings that we weren't sure how to handle it. I mean, I myself felt that I was very young at that time.
But Elton John? He loves her, and he's never been afraid to say it. You might think this is surprising. Elton is known for catchy hits, fun choruses, and huge concerts. He sold millions of records. Kate Bush is the opposite, quiet, private, and mysterious. But that's exactly why Elton admires her so much. He sees her as a true artist, someone who never changes to please others. She doesn't care about radio play. She cares about making music that feels honest, even if it's different from what's popular.
You know, I think the main reason is I try not to listen to female artists too much.
Elton has supported Kate for years, long before her music recently became popular again. He has called her a genius, a mystery, and one of the most original artists in the world. He admires how she writes her own songs, produces her own music, and always stays true to her own vision. Even though she doesn't follow the normal rules of the music business, Elton thinks that's what makes her great.
But it's really to give everyone a good night, everyone that's been involved, to thank them. That's really the purpose of it.
Kate Bush. But here's the twist. His love for Kate Bush is quietly controversial. In a music world full of auto-tuned songs, social media stars, and endless pressure to stay in the spotlight, Kate Bush does the opposite. She disappears for years. She doesn't explain herself, and yet Elton praises her like she's the future of music. That's a bold move. It goes against everything most music companies want to hear. Elton could easily spend his time praising popular stars who sell a lot of records, but instead, he chooses to defend someone who plays by her own rules.
And it's not something that I have enthusiasm about. It's not fun for me. I don't really enjoy it.
That's why his support means so much. He's not just saying Kate is good, he's saying Kate is important, and more artists should be like her. For Elton, Kate Bush isn't just a singer. She's proof that being unique, quiet, and artistic can still matter in a world that often rewards flash over feeling. By lifting her up, Elton is sending a message to the music world. Stop chasing easy hits. Start respecting real art. His love for Kate is calm and kind, but also strong and brave. It shows that even one of the biggest pop stars in history can still believe in something deeper.
I think it was perhaps an expression of freedom from the things that I'd felt before.
Something more meaningful than fame or fortune. And that makes his love for Kate Bush not just surprising, but revolutionary. After Kate's soft magic, Elton cheers for a pop star who turns heads with bright clothes. 5. Lady Gaga.
The best bit of advice Elton ever gave you?
To get sober.
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a smart one.
Very smart.
When Lady Gaga, whose real name is Stefani Germanotta, stepped onto the world stage, people didn't know what to make of her. She wore wild outfits, made strange music videos, and sang songs full of emotion and power. She didn't look or sound like anyone else. Right away, some people started calling her fake, saying she copied others, or just used shock to get famous. But from the very start, there was one person who believed in her completely, Sir Elton John.
The more it feels like me. Art pop was a vibe. Joanne was a sound.
Yeah. Elton didn't just like Lady Gaga. He became her biggest fan and strongest defender. He called her his goddaughter, and even joked about being a godmother to her kids. But it wasn't just a joke. He really cared about her and protected her like family. Their friendship quickly turned into something powerful, something that showed how much Elton respected her talent, her courage, and her heart.
I think you're doomed.
I think, you can think about the audience as long as you don't abandon yourself.
The most controversial part of this love was how loud and direct Elton became when defending Gaga, especially against her critics, most famously Madonna. When people said Gaga's hit song Born This Way copied Madonna's Express Yourself, Elton got angry. He didn't just disagree, he fought back in interviews, calling Madonna ungracious and even insulting her stage image. He didn't hold back, and that made headlines all over the world. Elton didn't see Gaga as a copycat. He saw her as brave and different.
Why the hell am I going to waste my time and give a press release about whether or not I have a penis? My fans don't care, and neither do I.
He believed she was writing her own story, making her own rules, and doing it all with kindness. He said again and again, "She's not the next anyone. She's the first Gaga." Their performances together were full of energy and joy. They clearly had a real bond, and Elton's love for Gaga became more than just admiration.
I get advice a lot because, you know, many people don't know what I look like because I like to change so much.
It became a statement. This was controversial because Elton was taking sides in a music world full of rivalries, drama, and opinions. By standing with Gaga so loudly, he was also standing against those who wanted to tear her down. He didn't care what others thought. He believed in her, and he wanted the world to know it. Elton used his fame and power to lift Gaga up, and in doing so, he helped protect her from some of the harshest criticism. And if that surprised you, the next friend was slammed for harsh words, yet Elton called him brother. 6. Eminem.
For me, Eminem was never homophobic. I mean, I listened to the whole of the Marshall Mathers album when I drove to a show in Southampton. I was floored by it. He's just writing about the way things are, not how he thinks, the way things are.
When people think of Elton John and Eminem, they don't imagine them as friends. Elton is a proud gay man, a music legend known for singing about love and emotion. Eminem, on the other hand, was known for angry raps, shocking lyrics, and lines that many people called offensive, especially toward the LGBTQ+ community. So, when they stood on stage together at the 2001 Grammy Awards, performing Eminem's emotional hit Stan, people were shocked.
He's an amazing guy. I spoke to him last week. I interviewed him last week for a magazine. And I just adore him.
Yeah.
But Elton didn't just sing with Eminem, he hugged him, he stood beside him, he defended him, even when many people were angry. A lot of Elton's fans and supporters in the LGBTQ+ community didn't understand. Why would Elton stand by someone whose lyrics had caused so much pain?
We had 2 diamond-encrusted cock rings. and I have to say they have remained unused.
Elton had an answer. He believed Eminem wasn't full of hate. He believed the anger in his songs came from pain, not cruelty. He said Eminem was a smart artist who used shocking words to show what was wrong with the world around him. Elton even said they became real friends, talking on the phone and sharing stories. Over and over, Elton told people he believed in Eminem's heart and talent.
For me, Eminem was never homophobic. I mean, I listened to the whole of the Marshall Mathers album when I drove to a show in Southampton. I was floored by him. He's just writing about the way things are, not how he thinks, the way things are.
This was one of Elton's most controversial choices ever. Many people were upset, but Elton stood firm. He said that understanding someone doesn't mean you agree with everything they say, but it does mean you're willing to listen. He wanted people to look deeper, to hear the emotion and storytelling in Eminem's songs, and not just focus on the surface. This friendship showed something important about Elton. He doesn't love people only when it's easy. He's willing to take risks, even when it makes people angry, to stand up for what he believes. In this case, he believed in second chances, in understanding, and in the power of music to heal. It was a risky move, but for Elton, it was worth it. Did Elton go too far defending Gaga and Eminem, or not far enough? Let us know. Hit that like button and subscribe for more.